that be?
What up, everybody listening, internet land. We got legend, Terrence, the Black Spider-Man, Hugo Arimo here. And this is Conscious Cafe, and today we're discussing a very heavy topic. So I decided to go ahead and go live with this one. We're discussing the stigma of the angry black man. Before we begin, which is ironic, once we decided last week. If you listened last week, man, Hugo was telling us about he had to lay somebody down, had to lay a young buck down, and then we decided what we were going to talk about, and the subject came up, angry black men, and God bless the dead, man. Shortly thereafter, what ended our week and started into the new week was the death of Nipsey Hussle. So I'm just going to leave it at that, man. And leave the floor open to this heavy and deep conversation of the angry black man and the stigma about it.
Can I say something about that Nipsey Hussle thing?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was a real strange thing because I think a lot of people were affected that didn't even really know him. You know, because me personally, I think I was affected. Because, I mean, I just feel like, you know, I started to investigate a lot of the things that he was doing, not like his music. I wasn't listening to his music because I was already familiar with that, but like what he was doing outside of that. That dude was a monster, you know what I mean? So, you know, he was doing a lot of positive things for his community, man, and that just even made me more sad, man, about it, that somebody that's doing something such positivity got struck down like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie to you guys, man. I didn't even with Nipsey Hussle, I knew of him, but I didn't really peep him out. I knew of him from living in Southern California. I didn't really peep him out. And then after he died, I listened to one of his interviews with the Breakfast Club, and that brother was heavy in the community. Like, this is one of the cats that I can honestly say that I seen that was giving back to the community. And I kind of felt like Pac. Remember when Pac got shot and he was like, I never believed that another black person would do me like that. And then the part that really pissed me off was cats that don't even know him. And I ain't even going to get into race. But Cass was like, yo, this dude was a criminal. He did X, Y, and Z. And then some of these cats was going to get on the Christian tip. But I'm like, yo, weren't some of those, some of the disciples, some of the most heinous people and deserve the second chance? But you know how it is, man. The narrative.
Jesus hung out with thieves.
Yeah. And it's always that double standard, man. Like, this guy don't, you know, but it just made me think, man. They always criminalize the victim. And I kind of felt bad because the brother was prolific. He said a lot of stuff, and for him to get gunned down in his own neighborhood and like a business he was trying to build, and then afterwards the way that, you know how it always go, people trying to dig dirt on this brother, man.
But the thing about it, there wasn't just a whole bunch of dirt to dig on him that he didn't already say for himself. Just to be honest. I had looked at a lot of interviews and went and looked on his pages, the stuff he posted. Man, he said that I read one thing where he said, you know, I'm a gang member, but I'm not a gang banger. And he said there's a difference between that, you know what I'm saying? And he said that the people don't understand it, and it's a lifestyle that once you're in it, it's almost impossible to get out of it, but you can redirect what you're doing for the community.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He said it's a complex issue that a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people don't understand gang culture. And a lot of that happens in a lot of inner city to a lot of young brothers, and it's a complex situation.
Yeah. And Hugo, what are your thoughts, man?
I mean, I'm going to be honest, man. Like, you know, people can change. You know, as you evolve, you grow, you get, you know, you become older and wiser. You can change. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's what he was doing. and for another brother to just go through and take his life for what? Because I mean, I'm gonna be honest, man. I don't even know why you would even take another human being's life for what purpose, and I don't even know, does anybody even know the guy that actually killed him?
You know
The,
what
the
the
guy
crazy?
that the guy that actually killed him was a dude that he knew, and everybody knew him. He was from that community. You know what I mean? And that's what one of his friends was saying. They, they didn't suspect dude because that was a dude they seen all the time. He was part of their community, so he said they had their guard down. You know what I mean? And also, two things. One of his good friends had just gotten out of prison for 20 years. He was taking his friend to the store so he could get some good, nice looking clothes so that he could meet up with his family and friends because he had just got out of prison for 20 years. You know?
Man,
Wow.
And then a second thing, I read a story about there was a gentleman who used to work on the streets and the lights in the Crenshaw district. And don't you know that Nipsey Hussle came out every day and gave those snacks and water and food and even gave them free merchandise out of his store and thanked them for, repairing his community and keeping it good for the kids. Man, this dude had a good soul, man.
Wow, man. And it's just
see,
crazy, man. I can't. And like you said, it was one of his own, and it just it blew my
be
mind.
so
Man.
young, and to be so young too, man. I
33
mean,
years old, man.
Yeah, mad young.
I don't
Crazy.
know.
And it's just
You know,
and then I was thinking too, man. I'm like, and I kind of felt bad for thinking this way. I was like, what if this dude who was a celebrity, what if he was straight laced? You know what I mean? And this
yeah.
happened. How would he be perceived? And how would they say stuff? Because it's always, man, it's always the criminalization of finding something bad about a person. And to be real, man, these politicians, some of these people that are supposedly of the cloth, man, we find out dirt about them on the regular, man. And then what about your boy Brett Kavanaugh, man? You know what I'm saying? But my man Nipsey, man, he get popped. This man go out. And like you said, we named a lot of stuff that he did, and I just seen a lot of people criminalized. And then another thing that pissed me off was that whole thing with the Deep Ellum. I know you guys seen that. Sister girl got beat up like she was a man. And then
Yeah.
somebody gonna want to tell me like, well, she shouldn't have got out the car. I'm like, word?
I saw a lot of that online. I saw that. You know what I mean?
So what was the issue?
I wanted to comment on some of that stuff, but I didn't, man. But that's just I don't even know what to say about that. Really, just to be honest, it's kind of like
Nobody came to her aid.
I
Oh,
know
you didn't see the video, man. You didn't see the video,
Uh-uh.
dude.
he,
So
he
so
had
it's
a gun. He had a gun too. So
was a-
nobody. I guess people were scared. I guess.
it was a white man and a black woman, and supposedly the white guy he worked he was a bartender at the spot, and apparently the sister took his parking spot. Yo, this dude, somebody took a video of it. This dude pulled a gun on her. He gave her like 5 Street Fighter tiger uppercuts, and I think the video came out, and the charges that they gave him, there were some light charges, and he got like light bail. So finally, and this happened Deep Ellum. This is in Dallas Fort Worth, the Dallas, and then on top of that, they gave him some light charges. So it took protests for them to give him. I guess they gave him a harsher sentence or something like that. But the one part that blew my mind was the initial charges. They didn't charge this man for pulling a gun on her, man.
Yeah, that's
Right now, man, that dude just pulled out a gun. Dude, she's by herself, man.
Yeah,
Bigger than her and everything. Like, man, I would have whooped this dude's ass.
man, he beat her like a man, dude.
Yeah, I'm saying this.
And it's just like, but the thing that is crazy, man, because we sit here and talk about, the angry black man stigma, man. What if that was a brother and it was a white woman? Come on now.
Man,
Come on
he'd
now.
be going. He'd be going to prison, man. He wouldn't get out of that. You already know that.
Yeah.
and also, imagine if roles were reversed. Had that been a white woman and a black man, what would have been in the narrative then?
Oh, hey man, brother. Hey man, we might be saying God bless the dead for another cat, man.
Yeah, we would easily. They would have laid him to rest without a doubt. There would have been
Oh
police on
yeah.
the scene immediately. Because the thing is, I would tell them all the time, where were the police at? Because I know every time I'm down there, they over my shoulder every second.
Oh
You know
yeah.
what I mean? So I don't understand where they was at. You know what I mean?
And the thing that I feel is that we're not allowed to express express how we feel and express what's going on, and then when we say something, man, I mean, well, hell, how is it that all these hate groups are alive and well, but you guys seen what happened with the Panthers? You guys seen? I actually watched this documentary on Black Lives Matters movement and how the government was infiltrating, and then there were certain people to design to infiltrate that, and or people would again, they criminalize certain things, and it's like Black Lives Matters. How you gonna say Black Lives Matters is a hate group? All we saying is like, yo, we see what's going on, man. We see
Hey,
who's get.
but
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I mean, if you're familiar with history, I mean, anytime that there's a powerful organization that's not white, they usually try to break that organization down because they
Exactly.
know the power of community it's not a joke. It's not a joke at all. That's why anything that's powerful and black, they dismantle it because they know. But the thing is, they don't understand. Black people will not try to take over and do wrong to anybody. That's not our nature. You know what I'm saying? We will if we were to take over. Honestly, I think it would be a better place because we provide for everybody. Because you can't tell me there's no accounts of black people just knowingly being destructive and killing masses of races of people. But I mean, if you look at history, you have accounts of white people doing that like all the time. Well, let's just be real.
I mean, shit. Look at the KKK, man. You got this powerful organization that is still around, right? Did throughout history murdered hundreds, thousands of fucking African Americans and stuff like that, hanging in broad daylight in
In
front of
broad daylight.
Yeah.
in front of police officers, all of this stuff. They still around, still have meetings, still have all this stuff. You know,
Crazy, man. Just to think of that. That
And then
organization has been around for decades.
this is what I applaud about the Prime Minister of New Zealand. When that happened with that church, she called it for what it is. The one thing that I find crazy is our lone wolf domestic terrorists, the Oklahoma City bomber, the guy that shot up the church. They never call it. It's never called domestic terrorism.
Yeah.
Why is that?
10 minutes.
uh,
And then you
man.
just and it's crazy, man. And then on top of that, I'll get real deep on the subject matter. Everybody wants to talk about the ghettos, but nobody talks about how the ghettos were designed, and nobody talks about redlining and how higher mortgages were given to minorities, or it was designed to make the communities different. We didn't make those environments. And then on top of
Yeah.
that, when you're in the city, I mean, Pac said it perfectly, man. When you're in poor situations where you don't get the basic necessities that you need, and you have food deserts, what are you gonna do? If you don't have options, if you don't have job options, what are you gonna do? We didn't design that. But then
Yeah.
again, when we talk about the victims being criminalized, what do they talk about? You know what I mean? And then one thing I found out too, a lot of people want to point out welfare. And Ronald Reagan talking about the welfare queen when he was doing his presidency or his campaign. I was watching this documentary about the welfare queen, but then look at the statistics. Who's statistically on welfare? You know what I'm saying? It's this narrative. Better yet, I'll get even deeper with that. That movie we talked about, the KKK, Birth of a Nation. Do you know what the motivation behind that was? Black people, brothers, raping white women. Come on, now that stigma, the angry black man, has always been used to instill fear. You know what I'm saying? But if you look at the numbers, it doesn't speak to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? They always use propaganda and psychological warfare against us because a lot of times we're unfamiliar with that. You know what I mean? Because I remember a while back they had done a study saying that there's more black men in prison than there is in college, and maybe a year or so later, that they came back and said that was false. That was a false numbers that they put out. You know what I mean? So it's just, but that's been put out, so that disseminates as a story. So that perpetuates the mind state of how black men are. And look, there's more in prison than there is in college. You know what I mean? And people who are uneducated will take this information and run with it. They won't vet the information. They won't research it. They won't try to find out if there's alternative stories. So, I mean, that's powerful here in America, media and stories and what's heard.
That's true. I mean, look at who controls the media and stuff like that. It's usually the rich, and who are usually the rich.
Yeah.
Man. And so, like, they want to show all the negative stuff, just, to put all the ignorant people, the people who are uneducated, and make them fearful of what's going on. They don't want to talk
what it is.
You'll never see them, talking about, all the good stuff, African Americans are doing and stuff. They just want to just shine light on the negativity. Bad up.
And it's funny, man. And one thing that I could say that I like some of the stuff is coming out, man. Like the Green Book, like Hidden Figures, man. I was always, all the stereotypes we were always told, or always heard that, we weren't good in math. The negative stereotype was Asians were good in math or something like that, or we wasn't good in X, Y, Z. But then if you look at history, like I think a brother invented the not the refrigerator, maybe the refrigerator too, but air conditioning.
Yeah.
You hear about Benjamin,
and air conditioned both. Yeah,
Benjamin Banneker, and then my favorite motivation is what Oprah said, man. She's like, yo, they like, Oprah, what is your motivation? And I mean, Oprah been through some stuff, man. She came from Mississippi, was molested, et cetera, et cetera. And she's like, yo, my people, we overcame slavery. We can do anything. But I remember growing up, I was a military brat, and I thought about this the other day. And I went to one of the high schools or areas I lived in was Cherry Hill, New Jersey, predominantly white, predominantly Jewish. And I remember in middle school and also in high school, there was always a story about that big black guy, the scary big black guy. Oh, we went to Philly and the big black guy and these big black guys. And I never really thought about it, man. But then I thought about it. I was like, dang, man. That stigma has always been there. And it's the thing that really makes me mad is just like the example of the guy that he was in his car, and I guess it was a car of black teenagers, and my man shot up the car, bro, and just drove off. And I mean, these guys I guess they weren't doing anything. I guess he was angry or something, but it was never really stated that the kids did anything. And I tell my relatives, I'm like, yo, all you got to do is be perceived as a threat. And, the stand your ground law, you perceived as a threat, it's not going to go in your favor. And I hate when us as a people, we play into that narrative, man. Like, that's one reason why I never really watched, like, people, God bless the dead, Luke Perry, but I never was into 90210, man, because every time there was a black person, the guy's father owned a chicken place, and they made money, or he just happened to be a thug in Compton passing by, you know what I'm saying? And we got to work. I feel like we got to work to change that narrative, man, because we're not seen as three-dimensional, man. Like, for example, when I have my daughter, and it's just me and my daughter, people look at me like a unicorn. Like, no, man, we fathers too.
Yeah. It's sad. That's sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's real sad. But I think that I'm just gonna ask some questions. Like, I mean, do we have a right to be angry, or is it just get over it and deal with it because that's how life is? You know what I'm saying? Because I've heard black people say both, and black people from different age range say both. You know what I'm saying? So, because my mother didn't raise me thinking that life was fair, so I understood that there was going to be situations where, hey, it ain't fair, but and it ain't nothing you're going to be able to do about it, but that's just life.
So let me ask you this. I would say we're far behind the power curve. If you look at the financial or the wealth gap, if you look at how wealth is established and how you obtain wealth, or let's say home ownership, or access to even the things that we've been denied. You know what I'm saying? Has it been equal? Is there equal footing? You know, I don't know too many of us that have old money. We never had that opportunity.
Nah, nah. If black people have money, then it's pretty new. You know what I'm saying? It's within the last couple of generations. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then let's
Yeah,
ask.
it's usually going to be, because, oh, yeah, we play basketball, play sports or something like that, That's what we're good at, It's not about getting an education or anything like that. It's about playing sports.
Oh, yeah, let's talk.
And that's no,
No,
go ahead.
Say Hugo, you hit on a good point. Education in areas where we're the majority. How's the educational system look? Is it equal?
Horrible.
Nah, it's poor, man. I mean, one of the biggest things, I think, kids growing up and stuff like that is what we teach our youths, especially, growing up black and stuff, is to get out of the ghetto, you got to be able to play basketball. You got to be able to play football. You got to play some kind of sports. But we don't sit there and tell each other, like, look, you want to be a doctor. You want to be an attorney, a lawyer, focus on your education. Sports should be like a secondary thing, not the primary thing, but I'm not trying to sound, prejudiced or, any stuff like that, but, most, Caucasian Americans, because nowadays you got to be politically correct when you say shit, it's like, I hate that shit, but they're taught that they have to get their education. They're not, their primary focus is education. It's not about playing sports. Sports is more of like a luxury and stuff, and,
But you go, but what's behind that though? Because a lot of times in the black community, who do we see be successful? I don't see my partner walking down the street talking about, man, this doctor, man, he cold as a mug. You know what I mean? They be talking about like LeBron and stuff like that. No, and I agree with what you're saying because I tell my boys that all the time. Sports is cool, and also the thing that they don't tell you either is you can't play sports till you're 90 either. You know what I'm saying? And so you have to have some type of know-how to do something else besides play sports. Because, there's a documentary on ESPN. It's called Broke. I don't know if y'all have ever seen it.
Oh, that 30 for 30? Oh, yeah, that 30 for 30.
Yeah, that 30 for 30. These dudes had $1 million, but they really had no job skills or nothing else. And the thing about it wasn't just black dudes. It was white dudes, too.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
All they knew how to do was play baseball. But then after baseball, they'll gamble their money away, broken business ventures. And before you know it, they're broke. They're having to work at the grocery store down the street.
But think about it. I don't know about you guys, and I have to fault us. A little bit because I remember in high school, man, and middle school, it wasn't cool to be a nerd, dog. Nerds got dogged. It wasn't.
You got beat up.
nerds got dogged, man, and it was, and the cool thing was to be like you said, it was the person with the edge. It was the cat that was doing dirty, man. We don't champion our nerds, man. Like we talked about this last week, the IT field, man. The IT field, there's really not too many minorities and women in there right now. Like the disparity and unevenness about that is very, very huge.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. But one thing that with my music and with the things that I do with my company is I try to focus on empowering young people of color, man, because I don't think there's any narrative out here that really empowers them. You know what I'm saying? Because on a daily basis, if you look on social media and what's on TV, you don't see us being the educated individual. You don't see us being the hero in terms of an intellectual standpoint. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You might see us be an action hero, but no real intellect behind it, just fighting and beating people up and shooting people. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times, and even when you look at the movies, the intelligent guy that comes in, he's always a white guy or he's not a black guy. You know what I'm saying? It's basically what I'm saying. And I'm just like, try to change that narrative every day and with everything that I do. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like
we have to change that, man. That's why
we do.
I can't, and I look at the young cats. And, when you take a step back and you look at things and you like from a higher level, it's like it's common sense. It's common sense why this perception because the media controls everything. The media controls how you think and feel. What's our top shows? Like, I understand, okay, with Bill Cosby, but I'm not going to front, man. A Different World made me think about college. A Different World made me think about, basically the Cosby was responsible for bringing a normal black family to America. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You're right. You're right. Those images weren't there before then. We were the crooks and thieves before then.
You know, it shows like Family Matters, man. Remember that show?
Yeah, that was first black nerd, Urkel. Right?
You.
I'm not gonna lie, man. I mean, I kind of wanted to be like Urkel, man. And then when he turned into that fine Urkel, and he had both, he had that suave and stuff. He was suave, but he was actually intelligent too.
Yeah.
I used to watch that, man. I was just like, man, I want to be like Urkel, Steve Urkel, and Urkel, Stefan Urkel, man.
I forgot about Stefan. But like you said, man, and I applaud you, Legend, because we have to show these kids it's another way, man. That Biggie, if you living in that situation, either you sold rocks or you had a wicked jump shop. But and one thing that kind of made me bad about Trayvon, man, Trayvon was actually going to training to be a pilot, man. That brother was doing some after school program to be a pilot. And I remember when they were talking about Trayvon Martin, some guy was like, man, you black, you ain't supposed to be a pilot. Black people don't fly. It's like, come on, man, stop putting limits. We need to stop limiting ourselves, man. We could do anything, man. Support that brother building that program or writing that code. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly true, man. Because there's a huge deficit in just certain industries that make a lot of money where we're not even present, and we really have to change that. But that's a day by day, week by week, month by month type thing.
Yep. And then even one of my brothers, man, we were sitting there talking. One of my boys, you know him, Hugo, Danny Hayes. We used to be stationed in Lemoore together. And one day we was just sitting there talking, having our talk, and he's like, man, why do certain people go out of their way to create roadblocks and make life hard on certain individuals? All we want to do is live our life. All we want to do is have the American dream. You know what I'm saying? And in a perfect world, people shouldn't be angry. But for me, as a 41-year-old black father to a biracial child who sits here and watches the same news that I watch, and then we have those tough questions of like, why does it seem that this group is getting targeted? And then to see the individual get criminalized, and like we said, the same narrative that was used way back in the day, to suppress voters' rights and X, Y, and Z. It's like, what do we do when we see this? You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna lie. When I drive my car, if there's a police car behind me, I'm like, oh, damn, if I get pulled over, okay, what's the protocol? You know what? Do I keep my hands on the steering wheel? Or, hey, Mr. Officer, I don't have a gun on me. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I'm a veteran. You know what I mean? Because look at what we see. We see all this injustice. And it's hard.
Oh, no, keep going.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, you go.
No, it's even, crazier. Like me, you're saying being a big black African American, big black guy, So it's like I look intimidating. Plus, I'm black too, Two bad combinations. So it's already in people's head that they don't want to piss me off. They don't want to look at me, cross-eyed and stuff like that. They don't want to say the wrong thing because I'm gonna explode or something like that. But yeah, when people get to know me, it's like they always tell me, man, you're like goofy, man. You're like the nicest guy I've ever met. Man, I didn't think that when I first saw you. I'm like, what the hell does that mean, dude? Like you look at Shaquille O'Neal, man. Like you look at him, you like, man, he's huge, he's big. And you like if you didn't know his personality just based on, the movies, seeing him and stuff like that, you would think, like, man, that dude's scary. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. And plus people are scared to conversate, man. And I'm pretty sure you guys had the girl grab her purse, you walk by, you and your friends, or the person lock their door, we've all had that. You know, like the funniest thing I had was me and my boys, man. We were in Pensacola. We were at the beach, and off in the distance there was a white female, and she appeared to be walking drunk. And we were like, "Yo, that's kind of crazy." And the closer she got to us, the more sober and straightened walk she got, man. And we was like, "Okay, we ain't gonna do nothing." But
Exactly.
like, wow.
Wow, man.
But
But a
people,
lot of times, and a lot of times though, you have to realize there's people that are grow up and they never get exposed to black people at all, and then they come across it, and it's a culture shock. Because my pops, he always tells me, he grew up around all black people, and the first time he really even dealt with other races of people is when he went to the Air Force. So and he said that was a culture shock to him. You know what I mean? Have grown around black people for like 23 years. And then you have to deal with other type of people, who do things differently, and it's that has to be considered because a lot of times people aren't exposed to white people or black people, so there is a conflict. All they know is what they see and what they hear.
yeah, that was like that in boot camp. When I was in boot camp, there was a few people that didn't hear, didn't the first time interacting with black people. And ironically enough, I was in boot camp when Tupac got shot and when Tupac got killed.
Yeah.
What's it called when you have that week off? What's it called?
What is it? Hell Week? No,
No,
it's
not Hell Week. I mean, when you can go out in town and go to, was it that weekend?
Wasn't it a week or Ricky Sun? Ricky, what do you call it? Yeah, I know.
But
what
it was
you're
like that weekend we went out in town, man, and we got some Tupac
talking.
CDs, and we sat down and listened to Tupac, and educated some people on Tupac. That was pretty interesting. But again, with that, when you don't see that person, what do you have to base your opinion on that person or a particular race? The television, what you see on television. So,
Man,
and I just feel that we should do more better about regulating some of these shows, or at least have shows that show the true side of us. Man, we are not Lucius Lyon.
Wow. Yeah. But I think with Netflix and Hulu and Amazon, different streaming channels like that, I think we'll be able to tell stories that are really indicative of true black culture and who we are as a people. Because like I don't know if it was you that said it or Hugo said it. We're multidimensional people, and we come from all type of backgrounds, and we're all type of different people. It's not that America has a perception of how black people are, and that's and we may fit into that in some categories, but a lot of times we're way bigger than what that small box is that you're trying to put us in.
Yep. Because even it's like Chris Rock said, he's like, oh man, they say, oh you speak so well. You're so well spoken. Like, yo, what am I supposed to walk around speaking broken English all the time?
Well, white folks say that in a minute, boy. They'll say, "Oh, you're so articulate."
Like,
what was I supposed to be? You know what I mean? That's a trip, boy. I could, if I had $1 for every time I heard that, because I used to wait tables for a long time at Maggiano's and Papados. I get that all the time.
Yeah.
I used to get that when I was like in middle school, man. Oh man, you speak white. Like, what?
Oh yeah.
Because I used to, you grow up reading a lot. You grow up reading a lot and stuff like that. So it's
exactly,
just like,
you know what I mean? My mother had a degree in English, so she corrected us on how we talk and how we wrote, and she read a lot of books to us. So I mean, that was on my mind, how I spoke and how I presented myself to people, because that's what was put in my head by my parents. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's just I just feel that, and I ain't gonna lie, man. This cat Kodak Black, bro, this brother is really annoying the hell out of me right now. Like, you setting us back right now, homie.
Kodak Black, who's that?
Man, he's a fool, man. He's a straight fool. He's one of these young mumble rappers.
So this brother said on TV, and T.I. had to check him, man. So Nipsey Hussle's widow, the actress Lauren London. So this kid's on Instagram talking about, man, I give her a year, but I'm going to be the best man I could be to holla at her. You know what I mean? She going to need a year to grieve, but I'm going to try to get at that. It's
Man,
like,
Really?
come
that's
on,
sad.
man.
Yeah. People was getting on him, but I heard someone saying like, "Yo, he better watch it because the cats in his neighborhood aren't real happy, and they take offense to stuff like that."
Yeah,
So,
he gonna be getting gunned down too, man.
I
yeah, yeah.
know, right? Don't blame.
Yeah. So what do you
I,
guys think? What do you guys think, man? I mean, what do you guys think? What can we do to try to break this stigma that the angry black man? Or you think it's always going to be like it's always has been? You know, to motivate. You know, like you said, fear tactics work, and that's one way to kind of discredit, and then also to allow us to be, you know, allow people to treat other people inhumane. How could we get rid of the stigma, though?
man, I don't. That's one of those things that what the problem, what you need to fix, it's just trying to find what works, what would resonate with young kids. I mean, I can't even, I remember being young and stuff like that coming up, and I just I don't know. That's a hard one.
But I think it's about having honest conversations. And for me personally, I think it's one of those things where you have to think of, you can just do your part, but I mean, you're not going to change the world. But I think a lot of times through entertainment, we can change that narrative. You know what I'm saying? More films, more stories, more content of black people being multidimensional, I think needs to be seen. And I mean, me personally, I always stop to engage somebody of a different race, you know what I mean, and talk with them so that they understand, like, you may have a perception of a black man, but hey, sit down and talk to me for a minute, and you can find out that, you know what I'm saying, we're just like, normal people. We all vary, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So,
and I
and I
believe.
really think, one more thing, though, and I'm going to shut my mouth. I think that we need to talk about trade within our community, bringing back trade skills, and also we need to talk about entrepreneurship in our community as well, because I think that will kind of level the playing field and give us other options to show kids that, hey, you may not be a rapper or an athlete, but there's an opportunity to make a lot of money if you want to work hard in other fields and other industries.
I think you're right because you see it from a ground level. I mean, you're a teacher. You see the young minds and what motivates them.
Oh man, a lot. I mean, like, no knock on any kid. I love all kids, and there's a lot of brilliant kids, but I see a lot of brilliant kids of different races. Every day I see that, and sometimes they don't come from the greatest situations. So sometimes I don't think they understand the true power they have to change things, because I think these kids are going to be the ones that really, change the tide of things, because the difference between them and us, we didn't have access to information like they do. These kids nowadays, they can look at anything on this world that they want to look at, they can access. We didn't have that growing up at such a young age. And I think that's a game changer, you know what I mean? And I mean, it's a double-edged sword at the same time, though, I think. But I think it could change things.
Because I think
Yeah,
it's
that's
sad.
what.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Hugo.
No, I think that's one of the. I think that's a good point, man. Like, kids nowadays, man, they're a lot more intelligent, a lot more knowledgeable about a lot of things because of all the, access that they do have, to, especially with the internet and stuff like that. I mean, us growing up, man, well, shit, we didn't even have the internet.
No, we
That's
You
what
know,
I'm saying.
You didn't. Like, you got it right at your doorstep, but I hate why we got to post the ratchetness. You know what I'm saying? I would love to see a young brother or sister post something innovative. Or what's that little girl from Blackish, the young one, doing her thing
Man,
right now?
I was just looking at that girl. She's killing it right now.
yeah.
And
I
I don't
forgot her
think,
name, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
because I don't think we championed. I wonder, and I wanted to ask you, Legend, is the nerd still getting bullied, man, or the innovator, or the kid that thinks differently? Is that still the
No,
norm?
but like you were saying earlier, I think like being a nerd is a whole lot cooler than what it used to be. Because like, yo, when we was in school, you was trying to do anything you could to not be a nerd. You know what I'm saying? So I think the nerd perception has changed, but I still think there's a level of there's a social stratosphere, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Where there's still compartmentalized groups and people have. I think there's a lot more racial things now, that go on. You know what I mean? Because when I was in school, like I said, we didn't know a lot of. We knew about race, but I don't think we took it to heart as much because we didn't see so much propaganda and so much things just to mess with our psyche. Because them kids seeing all that stuff, they don't know how to process that stuff properly like adults do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I gotta admit, man, because what we see on the news is not. I mean, people are like, oh, get over it, but I'm like, yo, when we see what we see on the news, that does mess with your psyche, man.
It does, dude. Like when those black dudes were getting gunned down, my mom was hitting me like every day, like, oh, be careful out there. You know what I mean? If you get pulled over, just like every other day she was saying something about that, and it was I wasn't really worried about it, but my mother being worried about it kind of low key kind of scared me. You know what I mean? Like, dang, that could have been me.
Yeah, my daughter actually would ask my mom, when I would leave, when I have her on summer vacation, she would, tell my mom that she was worried for me or something to happen. Or if I was late to come pick her up, my daughter's hitting me up, man. And I remember those nights when I was a teenager. I go out, I come home, my mom waiting for me. But, I could only imagine what was in the back of her mind as well. So.
I think a lot of it is just education, man. We just got to educate the youth, man. More educate people a lot more. That's the best way. You want to be more aware of something, you got to be educated, man. You got to be more aware.
And right? You're right, man. You're right. And you, I never really thought about that, man, because you are a big brother, dog. I never really thought about that. I can see, man, cats would be like, whoa. And I remember in the Navy, too, man, how, we go somewhere and how cats would react. But I never thought about that, man. I never thought about that. So.
Yeah. It's always like that, man. Like, man, watch out for him. Automatically, man, I got to be, they say something is like, oh, man, watch out for him. He's probably going to try to fight you. I'm like, well, what am I going to try to fight you for, man? I'm laid back, chilled, man. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm a big black guy. That's right. I'm going to go off on you.
I'll tell you, when I was in middle school, there was always that story about the big black guy, and I never really thought about it. I'm like, wait a minute, bro. This is playing into that stigma. But, brothers, we got 2 minutes and 29 seconds, man. If you guys want to, I speak my piece. I'm sorry if I cut you guys off. I know, like you guys, this week has just been with the start of Nipsey Hussle, and the mind was just really going, man, really going.
Yeah, mine was too.
It's good. You're passionate about it, man. It shows, man, and everything you speak, man. So.
Yeah, but one last thing I want to thank y'all brothers for just taking time to talk with me and with everybody who listens, man. Because I think what we're doing is with a powerful thing, and also Nipsey Hussle, he suggested this book called Contagious. And if you're an artist or someone who does anything within that realm, that's a book I highly suggest because it talks about how to make your product something that people are, how to pique interest and keep that interest maintained. You know what I mean? So it was a powerful book that I learned about from him. So I think all artists should have it. And peace. It's your man Legend.
Yo, and another book I want to bring up is by Kevin Powell. Brothers, you need to get this book. It's called The Black Man's Handbook. And the first chapter talks about the dichotomy of how, I'll just put it like this, gangster rappers cursing and then good night, God bless, I want to thank the man up above. That complex dichotomy of us and religion, but it's called The Black Man's Handbook by Kevin Powell. He was the guy that was on The Real World, the brother that was on the first Real World.
Oh, yeah, I remember Kevin, yeah.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that dude.
Yeah, it's definitely a deep book and contagious. I think that was the motivation behind him making those CDs, right? $100 CDs?
Yeah, that was the idea for the $100 CDs. Yeah, that's where he got the idea from, reading that book Contagious. And he was an avid reader, man. He used to be post on, if you looked at his pages, man, he'd be posting about a lot of books that he had read. There was a few others. Next show, I'll tell about some more because I wrote them down because that kind of has struck me because I mean I think everybody deals with perceptions because you think people are a certain way and then you dig deeper, find out they're different.
Yep. So there you have it, ladies and gents. The Conscious Cafe team, Angry Black Man, Nipsey Hussle. Thanks for listening.
Peace.
Peace.